and John and Jackie. I want to thank you both so much for coming in today. As you know, we have been working really hard together over the last few months to gather all your relevant financial information and documents needed. And I appreciate you both being committed to get this information to us, and I appreciate your time today. We have a lot of information to discuss, so I'd like to go ahead and get started. Alright, so today's agenda, we're going to look at where you guys are today, so your current situation, where do you want to go, your goals and priorities, how do we get there, our recommendations that we built this plan around, the results from those recommendations, and then we're going to take a look at the next steps. Alright, so we have put together a summary of your current situation and where you guys stand today. And with all that data we've collected, we have found that you guys are in the accumulation and risk management phase. And basically what that means is it just gives us an idea of what your likely goals are going to be and likely risk management and insurance needs that we need to take a look at and address. With all your information, we ran some analysis and we produced your financial statement. So we're going to take a look at your cash flow statement, your current balance sheet, which includes pie charts to help us visualize where you guys are today. And then we use the Money Education Financial Planning software and we produce 3 reports. We have your ratio analysis report, your 3-panel approach report, and we also took the risk tolerance questionnaire that you guys answered and we put together an asset allocation analysis based on this information. And while you guys are looking over this and the take-home packet, please feel free to stop me if there are any questions or if there's anything that needs to be corrected. Just let us know and we'll get these issues addressed right away. So taking a look at a summary of your current balance sheet, you can see your net worth is around $245,000. We've also got 2 pie charts at the top. Those are your pie charts, and right below that we have benchmarks for where we like to typically see our clients. As you can see on the top asset chart, the personal use assets are a lot larger than we feel like they should be compared to the benchmark. So we really need to build up your investment assets and also those cash and savings. It's really important to have that cash on hand for emergencies. And then over on the liability side, you can see that the long-term liabilities are too high. We really like to see that less than 36%, so it's something we need to shrink. And as we do, your net worth is going to go up as well. Here we have your statement of income and expenses, so your cash flow statement. On the right-hand side there, we've got 2 pie charts. The top one is your current situation, and the bottom pie chart is target, so typically where we suggest our clients should be. Going along the chart there, we've got your savings at 7%. Target should be anywhere between 10 and 13%, so that's something we need to take a look at there. Your insurance payments, they're right around 6%. Target should be between 5 to 12%. There's likely some coverage issues that we need to put in place, and so that ratio is likely to go up there. Your debt payments, again, you can see that that's almost 60%. We really need to see that around less than or equal to 28%, so cutting that in half. Your tax payments, they're a little high. We'll take a look at the tax analysis we did a little later on and bring this ratio down. Your living expenses are right in line. But overall, you guys have a negative cash flow right now. So definitely one of the most important issues we have to address and start looking at immediately. There's no way we can meet any goals until we get this flipped around. So it's definitely something we're going to take a closer look at. Alright, so here is a current insurance analysis based on the information you guys have provided. John has a $25,000 life insurance policy. We need to bump that up to 12 to 16 times his gross pay. Health insurance, right now coverage is adequate, so nothing to do there. Disability insurance, right now it's at 52% of gross pay. It really needs to be bumped up to 60 to 70%. Long-term care, not going to take a look at this time. The property insurance, your home insurance, is 67% fair market value. We need to bump that up to at least 80%. Your auto insurance coverage is too low there. We need to bump that up as well. And then your personal liability, we don't have one of those in place, and we need to take a look at that. So we are going to take a look at these recommendations closer in just a little bit. Here we've put together a summary of your short-term savings and investments. We have your emergency fund ratio there. Benchmark, we typically like to see this between 3 to 6 months. With your situation, since you guys only have one income stream coming in, we really like to see that around 6 months. Currently, it's around almost 2 months, not quite, so we need to bump that up. Your current ratio there, so your cash to cover your debt payments, we typically like to see this between 100 to 200%. Right now, it's around 39%, so something we need to work on there. And then your investment assets to gross pay, we typically want to see that between 2 to 3 times your gross pay. Currently, it's around 1.075 times your gross pay, so again, something else we need to look at there. Here we have a summary of your debt management analysis. So right now your housing, so that's your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance that you pay over your gross pay that you're bringing in. We like to see this around 28%. Currently it's a little high at 33%, so something we need to work on. And then we have your housing and your debt ratio. So what you're paying for housing and then all other debt that you're servicing monthly over your gross pay. We like to see this around 36%, and again, we see that's almost 65%. So definitely something we've got to address. And then I've also put a summary of all the debt payments you've provided. We can take a look there at it's over $4,000 a month that we're spending paying for that debt. So we need to take a look at restructuring this so we can start using this cash flow to go towards some of your goals that we want to achieve. All right, looking at your current long-term savings, right now you're putting back around 10% into retirement, and that is okay. Benchmark is typically 10 to 13%, but we've done an analysis on your specific situation, so we're going to need to bump this up a little bit. Your education savings right now, currently nothing being saved. Typically we want to see between 4 to 5%. So overall there's around 10%, and we are going to want this to get around 14 to 8% to be on target. So we're going to take a look at our specific recommendations for these two issues. This is a summary of your current portfolio allocation. You can see the breakdowns there, but overall, you guys do not have a lot of diversification to manage risk at the moment. So we're going to take a look at the risk management questionnaire that you guys answered, and we have built an asset allocation recommendation based on those answers. So we're going to cut down risk and be overall more diversified. Alright, so all of the slides so far have been an overview of where you guys stand today to get a clear picture of where you are before we talk about where you want to go. I think it's important because this is really going to determine how we get there. So I put together some assumptions used in the plan preparation and just a brief economic overview. For the U.S. market, we believe it's going to be strong this year, but there's going to be a slowdown in the growth. Inflation assumed around 3%, which is average. Education inflation at 5%. Looking at interest rates, we don't think there's going to be a dramatic rise in interest rates anytime soon. The Fed's been real slow to increase that. We think the trend is going to continue there. Looking at the 30-year mortgage, it's around 44%. 15 years around 3.75%. Prime rate at 3.25. And if we're going to look at refinancing, which we will discuss in just a little bit, it's going to cost us around 1.5%. Investment returns that we expect for the short term and long term, we've assumed 8.5%. Fixed income there at 6%, and then the T-bills keeping up with inflation at 3%. For John's salary expectations, we've assumed a 2% growth rate there. And then life expectancy, as we've discussed before, we're using 91 years old for our discussions here. So we have seen where you guys stand today, your current situation. Now we're going to dive into where you guys want to go. Here I've put together a summary of the goals that we've talked about, and I've placed them in order of your priorities. And now we're going to take a closer look at each of them. We've ran some analysis on your goals, and we found some issues that we need to address. So looking here at your first goal, your education savings for 4 years of college for each of the 3 kids, this This is going to require around $14,925 of savings per year. You can see the breakdown for each kid, but this is going to be the total cost of fully funding your kid's college education. Here is a summary of your second goal. So for reducing your overall debt, right now you guys have a negative cash flow, so we've got to come up with a plan to make that positive and also figure out a way to restructure this so we can have additional cash flows to save for these goals. I've put together a summary of your outstanding balances, so not including your mortgage, we've got a total of $64,766 of debt, which is really why your pie charts were so out of line from the targets. We've got to get this debt down, and this is going to help out with the issues of the cash flow. Here's your third goal, the retirement funding goal. You both said you'd really like to retire at 62 with 70% of your pre-retirement income, not counting Social Security. So we've ran the present value analysis, and right now you're currently saving around $8,432. So to meet this goal, it's going to require an additional $14,608. And because of the cash flow issues at the moment, we also ran another scenario that we talked about. And so delaying that retirement out 3 years with 80% of your pre-retirement income, including Social Security, it's going to cost you just another $3,864 plus what you're currently saving. So we felt this was a much more achievable goal. So we thought it was very important to clear these two scenarios here. Here we have your risk management profile and the concerns that we found here. So your life insurance, we need to add that personal policy for John and get him covered. Jackie needs to add that policy we talked about. The disability, we're not going to increase the cost here, but we do need to adjust it. The homeowner's insurance, we need to bump that up. The auto insurance, we need to increase coverage for that, as well as add that personal liability policy. Your health insurance looks good, so nothing to do there. And then looking at the summary, it's going to require an additional cost of around $3,903 to implement these coverages. And looking at your estate planning goals, currently you guys do not have any documents in place. We feel it's really important to go ahead and get this done just for protection of your family and to make sure if anything were to happen that your final wishes are carried out. So we need to go ahead and get the wills in place, the advanced medical directives, and the durable power of attorney for health care. And this is going to be around $1,000 to implement. So here is an overall summary of what we just talked about. Additionally, it's going to require an annual savings of $33,437 to meet the education, retirement, and insurance coverage goals, and then a one-time cost of $65,766 to reduce your debt and to get your estate planning documents in place. I know that this is a lot of information, and sometimes looking at the summary of your goals can be a little bit overwhelming because you really don't know how to come up with the funds. So now we're going to take a look at our recommendations, and we're going to look at your short-term goals and what we think you can do. I just want you guys to relax. We have a plan, and we're going to look at reducing your debt, your tax withholding recommendations, the estate planning, and the risk management recommendations. Alright, so taking a look at our debt reduction and restructuring recommendations, we're going to ask that, John, you go ahead and sell that ATV. It's going to create around $4,000 in cash plus the additional savings from the insurance that you won't need. We're going to also ask that you sell all of stock D and $21,000 of stock A, which is going to create around $49,106 to pay off most of your debt, and it's going to allow us to put this towards your savings. So here I've got a summary of your payoffs, which is going to free up about $1,500 a month, so a little over $18,000 a year. And after all of this is paid off, it's going to increase your credit score, so you're going to be able to qualify for a great rate on a 30-year mortgage. The cost of that is going to be around 1.5% to refinance, but the current payments of $1,900 are going to go down to around $1,300, so we're putting an extra $600 into the monthly cash flow. And totaling, with all of this in place, we're going to see around $26,000 a year that we can put towards your goals. Doing a brief 2014 tax analysis, right now you guys are withholding around $15,000, and you can see on that chart that your tax liability is going to be about $2,600. So we're going to recommend that you decrease your tax withholdings this year to around $3,000. This is going to dramatically impact your cash flows. It's going to give you another $12,000 annually into your savings, and it's definitely something we can implement right away. And so with the tax refund you'll be getting back this year, we're going to use that $1,000 to pay the estate attorney for the documents we discussed. And you'll see later in this plan we're going to use the additional refund to place into your money market to increase your emergency fund. And once again, here is our recommendation on the estate planning. We're going to go ahead and get these set up as soon as possible using your tax refund money to pay the attorney. Here is the breakdown of our risk management recommendations. So I've got listed what you currently have versus what we're recommending to get in place and how much that's going to cost per year. We will meet with you guys and do whatever we need to do. We're going to help you guys get these in place and adjust it as soon as possible. And as you can see, I've put the total cost there around $8,828 per year once all these recommendations are implemented. Let's take a look here at what these recommendations are going to look like once we implement them. So on that one-time side, with selling the ATV, the stocks, paying off the credit cards and the loans, decreasing the tax withholding, paying the attorney, and adding the insurance, we're going to create around $7,000 one time. And then annually, we've created around $34,100. So you can see here that we're going to be able to flip around that negative cash flow and also start putting some money back to save for those goals. Now we're going to take a look at your long-term goals, so your education funding, your retirement funding, additional recommendations that we have, and also your investment reallocations. Looking at our recommendations for your education savings, we're going to recommend to establish 529 plans for each Jack, Jill, and Jane, and you can see the annual savings of each of them is going to be around $7,200 annually. But if you're called to meet this goal of fully funding each kid's college education, it's going to require around $14,000. So we're short about $7,700. So I've put some other recommendations which we've included, asking the grandparents to contribute around $5,000 per year per child. And I know you said they would be happy to start doing this, so really need to have a conversation with them to ask if they can start gifting, as this is going to be key to meeting this goal. And also, once the recommendations have been put in place, after 2 to 3 years, Jackie, you and John will have your car paid off, salary increases, so there's going to be additional annual savings that are going to go up. I've included some projected financial statements in your take-home packet, so you can look at these, but this is what we're recommending right now. And as always, remember that there are scholarships and student loans that even the kids could take out, even if it's just to fund a year or two on their own. So always remember that we have options here. So finally, we reached your retirement planning recommendations. We touched on this a little earlier. John and Jackie, you came to us wanting to retire at 62 with 70% of your pre-retirement income, not including Social Security. But as you saw earlier, we ran that analysis and did not feel that it's a feasible goal at this moment. And we're going to recommend delaying that retirement 3 years out, using 80% pre-retirement income and including Social Security in this. And reviewing the numbers again, it's going to require an annual savings of around $12,296. So to meet this, we're recommending that you bump up your 401k contribution to 12%, and with your employer match, it's going to total around $12,750, which is required to meet this goal. So we feel it's more feasible and in line with what you can realistically save at this time. And in doing this, you're also increasing your saving rate to 15%, which is now a target with the benchmarks we looked at earlier. And then I know we briefly discussed Jackie potentially going back to work when the kids start school. We ran the numbers there, and this could provide another $5,000 per year. But I know that we're not quite there yet. So if this does happen, we'll reassess then. We'll look at your budgets, what you think your expenses and spending are going to be with the kids in school and Jackie at work. So at that point, we would look at where the additional income should be placed. But just know that once this retirement recommendation is in place, we will be on track to meet this retirement goal at 65 and possibly sooner if Jackie returns to work, adding those additional savings. We also came up with some additional recommendations we feel are important. We recommend adding $1,200 to your money market every year to help build up your emergency fund. We really like to see this in place just in case something happens. We don't want to start back over getting out of debt. It's not fun. We want to be prepared, so let's increase this $1,200 a year. And also a note there, just recommending that we review this at least annually to reevaluate if needed and make changes as things come up. And as life happens, we'll take a look at what we need to do and how we need to restructure anything, but definitely need to review this annually. Here's what we're recommending for your investment asset allocation. Based on the risk profile questionnaire, you guys scored a 19, and what that means is that y'all are in the moderate risk tolerance area. So with that, we've put together an asset allocation. You can see the breakdown here as well as in your take-home packets. The expected return is around 8.5% and your standard deviation around 12.35. This is really going to create a more diversified portfolio to meet your return expectations. So again, looking at a summary of all the long-term goal recommendations that we are asking you to implement, total this is going to cost around $23,853 annually, with a one-time cost this year of $50,106 to reduce the debt, pay the estate attorney, and increase insurance coverages. We have a summary of your projected cash flows once all of our recommendations are in place. If you look at the second column at the bottom, you see that the net cash flow is now a positive number, which looks a whole lot better than where it was. Also comparing your tax payments, you're going to be around 50%, which is on target now. Your savings for college, retirement, and additional savings is going to go up to 21.9%, which is on target with where you guys need to be. Your insurance payments are around 10%, right in line without overinsuring or overpaying. Your debt payments, if you remember, it was almost 60% before, and this is going to go down to 28%, which is right at the target and where you need to be. And then also your living expenses, they still look good. So with all the recommendations in place here, you're going to have a positive cash flow, and you're going to be on target to save for your goals. Alright, we're going to wrap this up with an overall summary of our recommendation and how this is going to impact your financial situation. Again, now we see that we have a positive net cash flow, which is only going to go up, and I've put some projected cash flows and net worth statements that you guys can check out in your take-home packet. There's one in there that also you're going to see that your net worth is going to go up almost double within 5 years. Also, you'll see that the emergency fund is increasing, putting your family into a better position in case anything happens. Your debt is going to be dramatically reduced, so we're going to create those cash flows for your goals and improve the debt ratios. We're almost knocking those in half. Your insurance policies, we're adjusting the coverage to provide adequate protection without being overinsured or overpaying. Your asset allocation, we have the rebalance recommendations in your packet. We'll be able to achieve those long-term expected returns. Putting your estate documents to protect your family and to make sure your final wishes are carried out. And your overall savings rate is now on target to meet your retirement and education goals, which is really one of the main reasons that we're all here. So overall, your summary looks great. We've now finished discussing our plan, and now we need to discuss the next steps. We have a list of steps that myself and Jarvie Financial Services will be taking, and then steps that I'm asking you guys to take. We're sending you home with a packet of all things discussed today. I know there was a ton of information to take in, but these statements are going to help you guys review. You have the current and forecasted financial statements, those ratio analysis, and the 3-panel approach report. We also have our investment policy statement and an engagement letter detailing the cost of our services to move forward. And then once we know what you guys are agreeing to implement, we will help you all along the way. So we're going to refer any other professionals that we need to bring in, And also we'll be performing more in-depth sensitivity analysis so that if there's anything coming up that we feel that may affect our projections, we can run different scenarios and plan around these. Also, we plan on meeting at least every 6 months at first, just to make sure the plan and address any changes when they happen. So first every 6 months, then likely over time this will be reduced to an annual review, just to be sure everyone is on the same page and on track and doing what we need to do. And then John and Jackie, I'm going to ask that you guys take a night off from the kids. I know that's really hard these days, but it's really important that you sit down, review, discuss, and talk about what y'all want to implement. And also have that conversation with the grandparents, seeing that it's realistic for them to start gifting that $15,000 a year, as this is going to be key for your kids' education funding. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to meet again. We'll see if there's any questions to address at that time. We'll look at the plan more in depth and what each of us needs to be implementing. And in the meantime, please do not hesitate to contact us. We're here if there's anything that comes up. And of course, if there's any significant changes, we're going to ask that you keep us updated, as this can affect the plans that we have in place. And again, I want to thank you guys both so much for coming in, allowing us this opportunity to work with y'all and to present this information. We really feel like Jardine Financial Services can help you guys get on track for your family. And just know that we are here for you, and thanks again for your time today.